Hi friends, it's Barbara, our doll, and I'm trying something a little bit different today. This is my normal rocking chair, knit, and chat video, and I will save it to YouTube and upload it later. But for now, I'm here with you, and guess what? We're going to talk about mittens. You wouldn't wonder, being over 20 degrees Celsius here today, that we need to be thinking about mittens. But if you're a knitter, you think about mittens when it's still warm, right? You have to, because you need time to prepare. Now I have a few things I'm going to show you that I've knit in the past, and some that will be on the table at the sale at Linden Park Church. So the first ones are these fingerless ones, which are kind of nice. This is hand spun, hand dyed, a long cuff without a thumb. There, how's that? Woohoo, woohoo. And I believe that's a black cherry dye with Kool-Aid. So I have those, and I kind of like knitting and wearing cuffs. So I did these, which go under my burgundy suit. Oh, excuse me. So I'm getting right into the nitty gritty here. This is hand spun, but not hand dyed by me, and it's a merino blend. Pretty. I have a matching hat for that one. And these, I called these the Barbie mitts because it was Barbie pink, right? And they're fingerless, just straight knitting, thumb up just past there. Great for driving, right? So that's a merino blend, mostly merino, I believe, and hand spun by me. Really pretty, intense color. So, and one more shout out for these. I've got them together because I'm selling them together. This is the Terevco pattern. These were knit last fall. Lovely cable. And hand dyed, hand spun. I believe the darker fiber in there is actually alpaca. So there's a bit of an alpaca blend in there. Aren't they lovely? Yeah. My favorite pattern right now. I also finished up my Halloween challenge ones. They're a little bit smaller. I don't think I used as big a needle. These are 2-ply, the other was 3-ply, so maybe that made a difference. Hand spun, hand dyed. I think it was Kool-Aid, orange Kool-Aid. But you can really see that cable well, right? Isn't that pretty? Love, love, love that. Ask me later for the pattern and I'll make sure you get it. And another pair I did, now I did these a year or so ago, are my thrummed mitts. And if I can get my thumb in there, there we go. Here we go. And again, it's hand dyed, 3-ply, so that I could keep the color separation. And if you don't know, thrum mitts are padded like that. So those are the samples that I have. This one was a lot of fun. These were a lot of fun. It's slow going. I can do a pair of mitts fairly quickly, but if I'm doing them thrummed, it takes me quite a bit longer. So what am I working on? Well, I do have another cable set, and I finished the first one. I thought I'd finish them for the sale on the weekend. Not going to happen. This is a Bluefish Leicester merino cross. Hand spun 2-ply, and it was dyed with something green. I'm trying to think. It's not coming to me. But then I dyed it in the cast iron pot. So I ended up with gray. You know, to see that I enjoy doing mittens, because I really, really do. So I thought I'd talk a little bit. I don't like doing thumbs. I really don't. I finished these off yesterday. I picked up the stitches for the thumb and I thought, no, no, no. I am in no mood to do that at all. At all. Oh, and it's so soft. This blue-faced Leicester long wool, so soft. So I need to cast on. But one of the things that I learned, and I don't know whether I have enough needles here to show you right now, is that when you cast on for the cuff, cast on over 2 needles. And when you cast on over 2 needles, it makes it so it's not so tight. I started doing that with socks. I have the 401 sock pattern from my friend Tracy, who I can link to. And she talked about that, I think in her sock tutorial, about casting on with the 2 together. And that gives you, and I have in the past cast on with a larger needle, but casting on with the 2 of them together gives you just the right amount. When I cast off on this one, I cast off on a half size larger needle, so it wouldn't be too tight. And I have to remember to do that with the thumb, because the thumb can get really snug if I don't. So that's my mitten knitting tip for you today, or at least the main one. The other thing is, if you notice, I took it off, I put it on the needles. I had this on a different color yarn holding the stitches. Let me turn this around for you, for the thumb, like that. When my family were younger, when I had babies and we had real diapers, I used a large diaper pin to hold the stitches. And you can get stitch holders that hold that many stitches, which is kind of nice too. But in a pinch, just grab another color. And I think this is the one I was using. That's the Blue-Faced Leicester. See how fuzzy that is? I could be using mohair. It's not as scratchy as mohair. But isn't that nice? So nice. That's what I was using. I have exactly this much left to spin. This much fluffy stuff left to spin for the gray, but I have quite a bit spun up for the gray, so I may not need much more than what I already have, because I have a couple of spindle cups like this. And you know what? If I was doing a lot, if I was spinning on the wheel, I would definitely wet set the yarn. But when I'm doing a little bit here and there on the spindle, I don't. And then when I go to block it later, when I go to steam these mittens, the stitches will steam right out evenly. So that's been my experience. It may not be your experience. I don't know. I really don't know. So there's my mittens. Have you knit mittens? Mittens were the second thing I learned how to knit. The first thing I learned how to knit was a scarf, a block, you know, for my dolls. And then my grandmother was knitting mittens, and I said, can you show me how? And she was working with 3 around and knitting with the 4th. And a few years back, I learned to work with 4 around and knitting with the 5th. And I find that easier, because then I can, when I'm doing socks, I can get the heel stitches on 2 needles and the front on 2 needles. And to me, it just works out easier, and it's much more comfortable for me. So there you have that. Yeah, I don't know. I do knit sometimes. No, I didn't bring them out. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I have this cute little pair. And these are obviously a child size mitten. I love doing stripes. I haven't done those in a while. This was made with woolies that I got from Michael's. And you can see I probably used a slightly larger needle, but you know, not as many stitches around. I almost always, except for the cable ones, I almost always do knit 2 purl 1 for the cuff anywhere from 16 to 20 for the rib. And then depending on whether it's a child or an adult, anywhere from 9 stitches for the gusset to 13 stitches for the gusset. And I like to put a purl row on either side of that gusset. It just makes it, gives it a little bit more definition. And I think that's how I learned. Doing the tops are harder for me. I don't know why, and maybe that's why I do fingerless ones more often than not. So these ones, you can tell by the looks of it that I have this, right? So it comes up to a point. I was working with 4 needles around. So decrease 2, decrease 2, knit 2, decrease 2, decrease 2, up until I got to a point, and then those were just done taking the yarn through the last remaining stitches and tying them off into a star. I don't know whether I can get the star on there or not. It's sort of a little circular star. But there it is. So those are the older traditional way of doing it. I know I have done an afterthought thumb. I was working with an Elizabeth Zimmerman knitting pattern, and it had an afterthought thumb. So I have done that in the past, but you know what? I don't like thumbs either way. So just stick with what I know. I like to stretch myself once in a while, and I definitely did with this pattern because I've got lace, right? So decreases, increases, eyelet, they're kind of fun. These are bulkier 3-ply again, but will definitely keep you warm. So there's so many different ways to knit mittens, and there's so many different patterns. I've seen some lovely mittens with birds on them, with cardinals and robins and blue jays that are absolutely stunning. For Halloween, I've seen some with pumpkin or bats around kind of thing. The other mitten that I'm going to do, and I don't have one done here, is what's affectionately called a Newfie mitt. So it's a honeycomb pattern, and I've done a number of those in the past, and I do really like those. So I'll probably do those for my daughter, as hers were so worn out I couldn't darn them enough to keep them going. So I told her I'd make her another pair with a very long cuff. I think her cuff was like this long on it. Nice big full mitten. And the honeycomb traps the moisture, or not the moisture, the heat in your hand. So when you're thinking about knitting and you don't want to think too much, right? I have to see where the camera is. I'm over here, right? Where's the camera? Where is the camera? A straight knit like this is so simple. I don't have to think about it. I just knit and knit and knit. And it's easy to pass the time. The cable, I can't say that I'm so used to the pattern that I don't need to look at it. I still use a row marker. But I know where the cable is and where the stitches are, and there's 10 rows in the repeat. So it doesn't take all of my attention to do that, but it does take quite a bit of my attention. So depending on the mood that you're in, you can either just do a straight stitch, a fancy stitch, a cable stitch. You can knit with different colors, do different stripes. You can use all your leftovers. It's a great stash buster, a really great stash buster. So I'm going to have some of these on the table for sale on Saturday at Linden Park Church for their Falling Leaves Bazaar. Some of the mittens, the plain mittens, if they don't sell, will go on the mitten tree that we'll put up in November, that people put mitts and hats and other things on. And then I'll do some Christmas mittens as well. So in between my socks and my mittens, I have lots on the go. And I'm going to start, I have to finish one test knit, and start another one. And I'm going to start the other one today or tomorrow. I just have to choose the yarn. I can't decide. Just can't decide. And also on the back burner is Arna and Carlos' surprise Christmas stocking that starts November 1st. And I'm thinking, I did last year's. It'd be nice to have a second one. But I have lots on the go. So do I do that? It's 6 rows a day. When you're only knitting 6 rows a day, it's not a big deal. With the socks, I try to knit 12 rows a day. How's that? Yeah. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. I'm sitting in my rocking chair. Nick's at his writer's group. I'm here alone in the apartment. I don't even think there's anybody upstairs. The bunny's in the cage here. Oh, and we got a new cage, so we're going to take care of that tonight or tomorrow. And the cat's upstairs, but I'm not hearing her. Things are quiet. Things are quiet. It's getting dark out, though. I think we're going to get a bit of a storm or some rain or whatever. But whatever you're working on, whatever you're crafting right now, I hope that as things go through your hands, right, that you feel the energy and the love that you're creating. Because even when you get frustrated and you have to tinker, unknit something, or totally unravel a project that you didn't like, there's still this feeling of you putting yourself into what you're crafting, what you're knitting, what you're crocheting, what you're sewing, what you're hand piecing. All of those things have a little bit of you in them. So friends, I hope that that little bit of you that you have time to put into your hobby, your crafting, if it's a business, today, like a little bit every day, 10 or 15 minutes every day, half an hour every day, whatever it is for you. Maybe it's 5 hours a day because you're building inventory for a sale. But whatever it is, may you be truly blessed and cared for in all that you do. Till next time, bye for now.